Husks up, Utah Mammoth fans. Welcome into another Utah Mammoth Daily. Well, that game was fun. While it wasn't that easy to go find and watch for somebody who doesn't pay for, Hulu and stuff, um, luckily I had a family member in my house that does, so don't come after me, Disney. But um, that was a fun game from start to finish. That is how the Utah Mammoths should look every night at home, really. I mean, why not? So obviously the Maple Leafs are coming off of a back-to-back second game after winning in overtime against the Avalanche, the league-leading Avalanche. And they looked flat. They looked tired. They looked like they should look like on the back end of a back-to-back. So there is that caveat, however you want to pronounce it. Let's call the whole thing off. So that is a grain of salt to remember. But overall, the team just looked angry about the result against Columbus. They looked like they wanted to make up for it. And boy, howdy did they. Dylan Guenther, Jack McBain, Michael Carcone, that line, whatever number that line is, 1, 2, or 3, doesn't matter. Let's keep that line together for the duration because that line was flying. It was awesome to watch. Even if they slump for a couple of games, don't break it up. There's obvious chemistry between all three of them, or amongst all three of them, and they were just all over the Maple Leafs. It was so awesome. Dylan Guenther getting 2 goals and assist. The vice versa for Jack McBain. Michael Carcone on the score sheet again. JJ Peterka scored a goal. Heyo. First time in 7 games for that to happen. And the top line disappeared. They did put pressure on. They disappeared on the score sheet. They didn't disappear. They kept pressure on. They were skating against the Austin Matthews line a lot. So it was just an overall good game. But this new tech, I'm all for it. Let's keep them together. Let's keep that magic going with that line because that was awesome. Home cooking. Yeah. So points of 5 straight. Catbird seed in the wild card. 50 points on the season through this time in the schedule. I think all of us before the season would have taken it. I know that illusion in October kind of spoiled it. I know it did for me. I wanted that to continue for the whole year, but it wasn't meant to be. We hit some rough patches, but again, thanks to a lot of your guys' comments, keeping it even keel and not reacting emotionally, looking at where the Mammoth are right now, it's pretty good. There's obvious improvements to be made across the organization, from front office to coaching staff to roster. There are changes that need to be made in the offseason, I think. Obviously, trade deadline, it's a different story. But for the bigger moves, that can wait until the offseason for sure. And also remembering that this year is a truncated schedule, way more back-to-backs than normal, way less in terms of recovery days. So it is a different year than most. So that's another thing that I need to keep reminding myself in all of that. But points in 5 straight, points in 6 out of the last 7. Utah is hitting a hot streak at just the right time because other teams in the wild card are dipping a little bit in their performance. Teams like the Sharks, Kings, the Ducks finally got a win after 8 straight losses. The Blues and Flames, I mean, the Blues just got a win, but the Flames have lost again. The Canucks are basically out of it now. Losers of 8 straight. They are way down in the standings, even below the Jets, who have won 3 straight. So it's a good time for Utah to get this point streak. 6-3-1 in their last 10. And they're looking pretty darn good. I mean, obviously that stinker they laid against Columbus hopefully woke them up, and it looked like it did at least against Toronto. We'll see if that holds up tonight against Dallas. But I'm just pleased by the reaction the team made of that loss to Columbus, that they felt they should have won. And I felt that way too. I was very angry. I think it came across in the show yesterday, but I was very angry with the performance and everything. So I'm pleased right now. I'm very pleased. So look ahead here. 6 of the next 10 are still at home. There's that 4-game road trip where they do have to travel a little bit. There's a back-to-back there in Florida against Tampa and Florida. Yikes. If they can get, I don't know, a point from those 2 games, I think it would be miraculous. But the other games are against Nashville and Carolina. Nashville is very winnable. Carolina, again, that's the 3 of the top teams in the East, no matter how you slice it. So that's a tough road trip. But they do come home for 3 straight games before the Olympic break against two teams that are very winnable, the Canucks and the Red Wings, and then and then, Dallas to kick it off. Ooh, that's a tough one too. But 6 of the next 10 at home before the Olympic break. We come back from the Olympic break on February 25th against Colorado. Ooh. So the schedule doesn't get any easier, but they are making hay at home, which is very important because last year they couldn't. They were still getting used to the new arena, the I don't know what you call the drapes or the posters, whatever those things were behind net, made it really hard for goalkeepers across the league to perform well. But now it's different, and Veggie, I'm gonna start eating crow here. He's the starting goalkeeper in the NHL. Yeah, I don't remember. I don't recall if I ever said they needed to trade away Veggie. I don't think I ever said that. You all will have to remind me, obviously, but I did say he is a very good number 2, but he's turning into a number 1. I think his call up to the Czechia team for the Olympics has spurred him and given him momentum that it's more than just the Mammoth front office and team that have faith in him. So I think that's really big for him. He's towards the top of the league in games played, so that is worth watching for goaltenders, and he is towards the top in wins. His save percentage is climbing steadily. He only gave up 1 goal to the Maple Leafs, so the goaltending is improving as well. Obviously, the Mammoth are only going to go as far as Veggie can take them. The rest of the roster is supremely talented. Well, not the rest of the roster. A lot of the roster is supremely talented, and I think the team will go only as far as Veggie can take them. But there has been a tasty rumor afoot with Dougie Hamilton being a healthy scratch and Dougie Hamilton's agent coming out and kind of calling out the New Jersey Devils front office. Dougie Hamilton's name is now towards the top of all trade rumor boards. The major players for him right now are the Maple Leafs, who seem to be a major player for anybody who's on the trade board always. Pittsburgh Penguins, wanting to shore up their blue line as they make a push for the playoffs for Sidney Crosby's, next to last season. We'll see. And the Blackhawks, looking to shore up their blue line for when Connor Bedard is fully healthy and they get, a couple other guys back, Frank Nazar back. So there is stiff competition for him. It does seem like Dougie Hamilton is on the way out of New Jersey. And the other defenseman that Utah got from New Jersey is working out pretty well. It's John Marino. I know I've had my quibbles about his performance, but the overall picture of his performance is very good. It's very good. So adding an offensive-minded defenseman to this team will only help. Now, the trade packages that are out there are just silly. It would be the Mammoth massively overpaying for him from the packages I've seen. So I'm thinking it's more draft picks and maybe a prospect for a guy that's just on the way out anyway. So I know that Bill Armstrong won't have the wool pulled over his eyes. If one of those other teams that are in on him overpay, that's when you say, all right, good luck. We'll move on to the next thing. But Utah can bid with them when it comes to draft capital. So it's an interesting scenario to look at. An offensive-minded defenseman that can score, who might be an upgrade over a Nate Schmidt a little bit when it comes to the offensive side of the game, is always interesting. The blue line is not necessarily where Utah needs the most help, but where Utah needs the most help, pretty much every team in the NHL outside of Colorado, Dallas, and Minnesota need help, and that's at the center position. So it'll be a good watch here as we move closer to the unofficial trade deadline of the Olympic break, as well as the official trade deadline in March. But it is nice to see the Mammoth associated in trade talks where it's more than them just selling assets, which is where they have been for about a month or so. So we'll see what happens there. I don't think that they're going to trade Nate Schmidt for him. I don't see that happening. I don't think they're going to trade Nick Schmaltz for him. Nick Schmaltz would need to be in a bigger deal than just Dougie Hamilton. But there are prospects and draft picks to be had from Utah for the services of a Dougie Hamilton. His cap hit, Utah can absorb before it increases. The cap, that is, before that increases. and he's still under contract for a couple years. So that is a little tasty bit as well to have a controllable asset instead of just a rental. So I'll keep my eyes on that for you guys. I'm sure you'll keep your eyes on it too. Hit that subscribe button. Let me know what you think the package for Dougie Hamilton will be in the comment section below. And I will see you guys tomorrow. Tusks up.